Spock, I hate to break it to you, but he's right there. You don't have to yell.
Sensor beam on.
He's like 5 feet across from you.
Deflectors full intensity. Deflector.
Well, like our last episode, Charlie X, we've got another superpowered human. This time it's Gary Mitchell, an old friend of Kirk's from the Academy, but not that Irish guy he accidentally brought to life on the amusement park planet who kicked the crap out of him in shore leave. He and Dr. Daner don't like each other very much, but they have something in common: really high ESP ratings. It turns out that, at least in this episode, you can actually leave the galaxy. And if you fly your ship through this barrier thing, anyone who has any ESP at all has a pretty good chance at getting glossy contact lenses and godlike powers. Since Gary Mitchell's ESP is freaky high, this instantly happens to him, but eventually, after they get to Delta Vega, it also happens to Dr. Daner. Before that, she tries to help Kirk maroon Gary Mitchell on the planet because it's non-inhabited and he's been gathering enough information and becoming powerful enough to take over the Enterprise. But once she starts getting superpowers, Daner starts turning supervillain too. Gary Lockwood turns in a grade A performance as Gary Mitchell, and he even gets to play someone with the same first name. He's your typical, somewhat arrogant Starfleet officer before they go through the barrier, kinda like Kirk, but as he gets more powerful, he gets scarier and more twisted. And his acting really is enough to scare us. We don't really need the booming, echoey voice to remind us he's going evil. He reminds me a lot of Siler from Heroes. It'd be cool if he showed up in one of Abrams' sequels, and then Zachary Quinto could play both him and Spock. We see lots of cool examples of how powerful he's getting, including his ability to memorize pages of text in seconds, levitating cups and phaser rifles. He even kills himself for about 20 seconds and then comes back to life. Later, when he starts calling himself a god, I can't help but believe him. How else do you explain how he's still conscious while dead? When Gary shocks himself over and over on a force field, kind of like a lab mouse that just isn't getting the point of the exercise, we discover he can be weakened because his glossy contact lenses disappear. There's a good payoff for this at the end when Daner finally turns against him and uses her powers to electrocute him. That's the strongest scene of the whole episode. First, Gary makes a grave for Kirk, and even though he apparently isn't all-knowing while being all-powerful since he gets Kirk's middle initial wrong, it's a pretty haunting scene. Then there's a lot of talk about the difference between a god and a guy who just likes using his superpowers to mess with people, and I bet you can guess which one Gary Mitchell is. And finally, Daner weakens him enough for Kirk to fistfight him into submission. And I don't care how many superpowers you have, you are not gonna beat Kirk's signature two-fisted blow. And of course, it's the first episode Shatner filmed, and he's already got his shirt ripped. Quick production lesson. This was actually the second pilot ordered by CBS after they thought the cage was too cerebral. Now, I know I'm just a monkey, but I don't really think this one is any less cerebral. Maybe they just liked it because there's more sparks on the bridge and a big long fist fight at the end. Most of the main characters have been added now, except for Uhura and McCoy. Instead, we get this guy, who doesn't look any more excited to be here than we are to watch him. I would imagine people watching these when they were broadcast were confused seeing this episode after The Man Trap and Charlie X. Spock is a little different here, although his being an unfeeling Vulcan is a big part of the plot. Since he's using logic instead of emotions, he gives Kirk two options: maroon Gary Mitchell or kill him while he still can. He even beams down with a phaser rifle and hands it to Kirk. But Spock also smiles some and keeps yelling all of his orders on the bridge. The Enterprise is run a lot like a Navy ship, so I guess this makes sense, but it's weird after seeing other episodes. And I don't think there's ever another episode where you'll see Spock look like this. The bridge is also a lot darker. There's this meeting room we never see again. The uniforms aren't all in primary colors, and Kirk's got Pike's big boom mic in his face. An interesting note. I guess Spock was born with the instinct to maroon people on Delta Vega. In the alternate timeline of J.J. Abrams' new Star Trek movie, Spock maroons Kirk on the same planet. A lot of fans have complained that in Abrams' new continuity, it's an ice planet, and obviously it wasn't an ice planet here. But I think Kirk's either on the other side in that movie, or it's just a seasonal thing. I give this episode 4 bananas! This one has a really fun sci-fi plot that unfolds like a great pulp short story. It's got some interesting psychology and morality to talk about, but there's also some action to keep it interesting. Since this was a pilot, they obviously had a lot more money than a regular episode, and the production value was really good. The planet is on a soundstage, but unlike the soundstage planet in the Man Trap, this one's got, clouds and stuff. Thanks for watching! See you next time!
Strike,